Marc Guehi Liverpool transfer agreement reached after Jamie Carragher made Reds plea. Marc Guehi and Antoine Semenyo are both being linked with transfers to Liverpool, but if you could only have one this January, who would you choose? Marc Guehi was close to joining Liverpool in January. Jamie Carragher feels that Liverpool have to sign a centre-back in January to avoid the Reds' season going even further off the rails. But there is a tempting alternative. We all know how close Liverpool came to capturing Marc Guehi on transfer deadline day, and they are hotly tipped to go back in with another approach for the Crystal Palace and England defender when the window opens again. But what if the best form of title defence was attack? The prospect of a January move for Bournemouth winger Antoine Semenyo has reared its head in recent days, and while Liverpool do have the squad space and the money to be able to sign both Semenyo and Guehi this winter, what if you could only have one? Liverpool gave me a 5-year contract and sold me days later. I was heartbroken. We asked our Echo reporters what they would do. Theo Squires. There would be something very Liverpool about the Reds signing Antoine Semenyo. A proven Premier League forward in fine form, only just coming into his peak years and available for a cut price fee thanks to a transfer release clause. It would be a shrewd move if he were to be added to Arne Slot's ranks in January. But as exciting as shiny new forwards are, if it is a choice of Semenyo or Marc Guehi, for example, Liverpool have to prioritize the latter. They have not been at their best defensively this season for a variety of reasons, and their backline needs addressing. Ibrahima Konate is struggling for form, and it would be no surprise to see him move on as he heads towards the final 6 months of his contract. Not as comfortable on the ball as some of his teammates, it is a weakness that continues to get exploited by opponents, and is something the Reds need to address. Elsewhere, Joe Gomez appears unfancied by Slot and would likely have left in the summer if a swoop for Guehi had not collapsed on transfer deadline day. Virgil van Dijk will be 35 ahead of the start of next season when heading into the final year of his own deal, and Giovanni Leoni is out for the season with an ACL injury. Down to 3 available senior centre-backs following the loss of the Italian, Liverpool clearly need to bolster their ranks in the short term, with further recruitment also needed at the back going forward. Guehi has been one of the standout defenders in the Premier League so far this season and was so close to joining the Reds back in September. While his arrival might not fix all their woes this season, he would at least help aid matters. I would argue that Liverpool would benefit from signing Semenyo too, having not signed a direct replacement for Luis Diaz. The Ghanaian's pace, power, work rate, and versatility are all attributes that would certainly add to the current ranks. But Slot at least already has Mohamed Salah, Cody Gakpo, Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, Federico Chiesa, Jeremy Frimpong, and Rio Ngumoha to select on the flanks without any new arrival. An injury on the wings would not, at this point, be catastrophic. But one more injury at the heart of defense and the Reds are looking at a crisis. While they would benefit from a new forward, they desperately need another centre-back. Mark Jones. He wouldn't have cured all the ills we've seen in defense this season, but as time has gone by, missing out on Marc Guehi has looked more and more of a damaging blow for Liverpool. Guehi is by no means the perfect defender, and sure enough, when it looked as though the Reds were going to sign him back in the summer, there were plenty of people willing to point out the flaws in his game. But he is a Premier League proven performer at a time when the division is at its most unforgiving. His leadership would have been most welcome the past couple of months. So I think the summer interest simply has to be followed up with a winter deal, not least because Liverpool will want to look as though they remain true to their word where transfers are concerned. As far as they saw it, the summer deal for Guehi was as good as done before Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish got cold feet, largely because his manager Oliver Glasner appeared to set to walk out if the England defender was allowed to go. Things will have surely calmed down now. Glasner and Parish will have had chance to line up a replacement, and while Palace won't want Guehi to leave, they also know that he'll be out of the door for nothing in the summer anyway. This is their last chance to cash in on him. A move for Antoine Semenyo would be exciting, and I wouldn't be overly surprised to see the Reds go for both in January, but in a world where they can only have one this winter, then it has to be Guehi who is prioritized. You can see what appears to be coming down the tracks where Ibrahima Konate is concerned, while Joe Gomez's future is forever unclear and Virgil van Dijk will be 35 at the end of the season. Good centre-backs need to be added, and added quickly. Chelsea and Tottenham make contact with Marcus Rashford's agent. Chelsea and Tottenham have both reportedly reached out to Marcus Rashford's agent as they assess the forward situation ahead of a potential future move. The 28-year-old has rediscovered his form since joining Barcelona on loan this summer, scoring 6 goals and providing 7 assists in his 16 games. Barcelona have a $30 million option to buy in the loan deal they negotiated with Man United, but the club's ongoing financial issues will make it difficult to sign Rashford permanently. According to Catalan outlet El Nacional, Rashford's agent Dwayne Maynard has already met with Chelsea and Tottenham should the move to Barca not happen. Liverpool set for huge Alisson injury boost ahead of Nottingham Forest game. Alisson has not played for Liverpool since sustaining a hamstring injury at the end of September, but he is expected to return to the side against Nottingham Forest this weekend. Alisson is set to return for Liverpool this weekend. Alisson looks set to regain his place in the Liverpool team against Nottingham Forest this weekend, nearly 2 months on from his last appearance for the Reds. The goalkeeper sustained a hamstring injury, his 5th in 3 years, during the Champions League loss to Galatasaray on September 30th and has missed Liverpool's last 8 games. Georgi Mamardashvili has started each of those games in Alisson's absence, but is expected to be relegated to a bench role once more when the club season resumes. Speaking prior to the international break, Arne Slot said that he expected Alisson to return against Forest. He noted, "Alisson for sure should be available immediately after the break, and I expect Jeremy Frimpong back after the international break as well, because we play from November until March. But I don't expect Jeremy to be fully fit for Forest. But with Alisson, we expect this." Giovanni Leoni is the only other Liverpool player with a documented injury at the moment, but Slot will likely give a fresh update on the state of his squad during a press conference on Friday. Alexander Isak is in line to return for Liverpool after featuring for Sweden. Alexander Isak has not figured in any of Liverpool's last 5 games after picking up a hamstring injury during a Champions League win over Eintracht Frankfurt last month. But he made his return to the field with Sweden over the weekend. "It has obviously been frustrating. It's never fun to be injured," Isak said of his fitness issues after coming off the bench during the second half of Sweden's loss to Switzerland on Saturday. "It's probably most frustrating for the player himself when you feel like you can't be there and have an impact. But I try to be positive, and now I'm healthy. I feel like my body was good after the match." Isak was an unused substitute during Sweden's second game during the break against Slovenia, but his absence from the game had nothing to do with his physical state. Isak is one booking away from a 1-game ban with Sweden, and had he been cautioned during the 1-1 draw with Slovenia, he would have been suspended for Sweden's one-legged World Cup semi-final playoff, which will take place in March. Sweden will face either Italy, Ukraine, Turkey, or Denmark away from home in the one-legged playoff, and will find out which one it is when the draw takes place on Thursday, November 20th. I have one worry about Alexander Isak at Liverpool. It isn't a new problem. Liverpool signed Alexander Isak from Newcastle United in a $125 million deal during the summer, but the striker has struggled for fitness since arriving at Anfield. Alexander Isak's Liverpool career has been stop-start so far. Swedish pundit Stefan Schwarz has expressed concerns about Alexander Isak's fitness. The former Arsenal and Sunderland midfielder believes he could pose a challenge for Liverpool head coach Arne Slot this season. Isak's 125 million departure from Newcastle United was one of the most talked about moves of the summer transfer window after he refused to pull on the Magpies shirt again after accusing the club of broken promises. The Sweden international had a string of injuries during his stint at Newcastle, with various groin and thigh problems sidelining him. However, as reported earlier this season, Liverpool's medical and sports science team carried out a thorough examination of Isak's injury history. Only after being assured that his past injuries wouldn't be a problem did the club give the go-ahead for the deal. Alexander Isak suffers new setback after Liverpool striker returns from injury. After missing pre-season, Isak was sidelined from the Liverpool squad due to a lack of fitness. His return was brief as the striker experienced further discomfort in his groin. Schwarz thinks this is the main concern for Slot. Speaking to Hyper, he said, "Alexander Isak is a fantastic player. The quality, the finishing, the movements, the intelligence on the pitch, he creates space for himself and others, the link-up play. But I believe there's one thing that worries me a little bit. It is his fitness. Every club that he's been to or played for, he hasn't been able to continue week in and week out. It isn't a new problem." Injury issues are nothing new to Alexander Isak. That's probably the challenge Liverpool has to get the best out of Isak, because he's a tremendous player and I believe we know when he's playing, he can do magical things. He has super finishing, and it's very difficult for the opponents to know where he is. He's so clever, intelligent. But for me, it's the fitness level. He has to play week in and week out to get that continuity to even improve and to get on a higher level. Isak was on the pitch for 28 minutes during Sweden's World Cup qualifier against Switzerland on Saturday. He also started Tuesday's match versus Slovenia as a substitute. Mohamed Salah replacements as Liverpool given 3 names, including Everton star. Liverpool are claimed to be keeping a close eye on a number of potential Mohamed Salah replacements. Mohamed Salah has not yet been at his frightening best for Liverpool this season. Liverpool icon Robbie Fowler reckons that the Reds will have a trio of stars on their radar to replace the aging Mohamed Salah, including one Everton player. The 33-year-old was a standout performer for Arne Slot's side last season as they stormed to the Premier League title. The Egyptian netted an impressive 34 goals in 52 appearances across all competitions, setting up an additional 23 goals for his teammates. However, Salah has found it challenging to replicate the same form this season, with just 5 goals and 3 assists in 16 games so far this campaign. Liverpool's dip in form has raised questions, with Salah being one of several high-profile stars to face criticism. Virgil van Dijk sets new record, but Liverpool teammate told he's best player. Liverpool's forward has struggled since signing new terms ahead of the current campaign. His contract at Anfield was due to expire before the start of the 2025-26 Premier League season, but he signed a new deal with the Reds to extend his stay. Salah's current contract runs out in the summer of 2027, and the Reds are reportedly eyeing a number of potential successors for when he eventually departs the club. Bournemouth star Antoine Semenyo, who has a 65 million release clause which becomes active in January, has been consistently linked with a move to Anfield as Salah's successor and has impressed for Andoni Iraola's side again this season. Iliman Ndiaye has been tipped for a surprise move to Liverpool from Everton. One-time Liverpool striker Fowler has commented on the potential transfer of Ghanaian international Semenyo from Bournemouth to Anfield, as well as the exciting prospect of Iliman Ndiaye making a surprise cross-city move. In an interview with Adventure Gamers, Fowler stated, "I saw Liverpool were linked with Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo. Yakuba Minte has been very good for Brighton, and that's the beauty of the Premier League. If you've got a player who's playing well and performing, you're going to get linked with other clubs. Would Brighton want him to go? No. Bournemouth won't want Semenyo to go, and Everton won't want Ndiaye to leave either. Salah's not going to be around forever, even though he's just signed a new contract. But anyone who Liverpool think can fit that bill, they're going to try and sign them,